Okay, let's set up our stock. This is video number 2. Hopefully you have already imported your tool library. So you may already be in the manufacturing workspace. If not, go to Design, go to Manufacture. All right. As soon as you do that, your toolbars will switch to the manufacturing operations up here. You'll see turning, you'll see additive, you'll see all these different milling operations. But more importantly to start, you're going to see this setup with a radio button next to it. And you're also going to see a shaded like piece of material that kind of surrounds and bounds the part that you made. So what that represents is the material that you're going to be cutting your part out of. So by default, Fusion will automatically kind of give you some rough material. If I kind of spin it around, you'll see that's kind of like the assumption that it makes, but you can change that, and we are going to change that. If you remember, I said you get a 3 by 3 by 1/4 inch piece of material to cut this out of. So we got to make sure that that's represented here in our setup. So we're going to double click on the setup that you see here highlighted. Once I can do that with my mouse. All right, so there's 3 tabs that we have to focus on here. I always like to start with the middle tab. We're never going to be in the post-process tab. This 3rd tab, you're going to ignore. So we're going to go here to the 2nd tab, and the mode is going to be set to a fixed box size, okay, so that we can tell it how wide the box is supposed to be. So if you look, my X and my Y axis, as long as I drew this in the correct orientation, in other words, remember the Z should be pointing up, and I can spin it to kind of show you. The Z should always be pointing in the up direction, and the XY should be as if my part is laying flat on the table. If it's not, then that's a problem, and we have to move our coordinate system. And I can show you how to do that. You have to chat with me or contact me, and we're going to have to make some changes to your coordinate system, which actually can be done in this setup menu. So we're going to change our width to 3. Change that number right there to the number 3 inches. And my Y can also be set to 3. Looks like it went to that by default. Make sure that your model is centered within that 3 by 3 rectangle. And then my Z, I'm going to set to the width of my stock, which is going to be 0.25. And then this rounding up number should always be set to 0. So that's exactly the right size. I'm going to change that to 3. I don't know why it flipped. So if I look at the front view, you can see that this fits inside that 3 by 3 fairly nicely. It tells me the dimensions of my overall stock down here to make sure I'm not going to go outside of or hit anything larger than my stock, so everything looks nice. Remember, our 0 is going to be right in this corner, so we're going to set that up here in a second. Don't hit OK yet. Now we're going to go to that first tab right here, and what we're going to do is where it says, let's see here, origin, okay, this should already be highlighted where it says stock point. If you want, you can click it again. But what you're going to do is you're going to angle your part so that you can click on this corner right there. So now what you can see is that I have my origin in that top corner. I have my x-axis going in this direction and my y-axis going in that direction. So stop what you're doing and make sure that your axes are going in the same direction as mine. If they're not, and this is where I can help you fix that, you could always change them by going to this orientation window and going to one of these options. So I'll tell you what, if you're good, you can hit OK, and you can stop this video because you are done setting up your stock. If you are not okay and your axes are not in the right directions, then what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to, let me go back into my setup, there it is. You're going to want to go to this model orientation and select Z and X axes. Now what this is going to allow you to do is, let's just say that my Y and my X were wrong or my Z was wrong. You can flip, by checking these arrows, you can flip the X's and the Y's and the Z's by changing, let me get out of this command here, by flipping these checkboxes, and you can flip the directions up and down and in all these directions until you have the orientation correct, and then you can reselect the corner up here once you have it in the right orientation. It's kind of a pain in the butt, but again, you really should make sure when you start your design that you're on the right XY plane before you continue, because that's going to be very important for milling. All right, so when you're done and you've got it on that top corner just like that and everything looks good, you're going to hit OK, and you are done with this part 2 of setting up, getting everything ready to mill.